Hello everyone, this is part 11 of What If Naruto Was the God of Fuinjutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Kabuto studied the scene before him while he tried to catch his breath. Why are you helping me? Itachi turned his head a little so he could look at Kabuto with one eye. My reasons are my own, Itachi stated as he turned to face Madara and Sasuke. Sasuke gritted his teeth before he couldn't take it anymore. Why are you in our way? Sasuke yelled out, drawing Itachi's attention to his brother. Can't you see that after we take care of him we can have our revenge on Konoha? Why would I want to destroy my home? Itachi looked at the confused look on Sasuke's face. Home they forced you to KR fam. Itachi quickly interrupted his brother. They didn't force me, Itachi stated quite plainly. Sarutobi-sama gave me the choice of either taking the mission or allowing someone else to carry it out. I took it because I knew that it would be less likely for a giant civil war to break out if I did it. But why? Sasuke couldn't believe his ears as Itachi looked at Sasuke with sadness. Because of what the Uchiha clan was planning. Itachi glared at Madara, who shrugged his shoulders. But you didn't turn out the way I wanted you to. You were supposed to stay in Konoha and continue to get stronger, and then you were to come find me and take my life, restoring the Uchiha clan's honor. Yet you continued down this path and look where you are now. I have power, that is where I am. Sasuke screamed out in anger. I did this all to KU, but now I'm doing this to destroy Konoha. That is why Kabuto has to that way. I'm one step closer to revenging our clan. Please brother, help us destroy the village that made you become a traitor. Itachi just shook his head and glared at his brother. Kabuto, run. Kabuto grunted to show he was listening. Run far and run fast. What type of trick is this? Kabuto glared at Itachi's back, but soon found him in the air with Itachi holding him by one hand. Do you want to Itachi growled as he kept his eyes focused on Madara and Sasuke. Then run and don't stop until you reach this area. There is someone who can help you a great deal. Itachi passed Kabuto a tiny piece of paper, confusing him as Itachi threw him. Kabuto spun in midair and landed on the ground before taking off. Sasuke was about to run after him when Itachi stepped in his way. If you want Kabuto, you will have to K me first. Itachi looked on emotionless at his brother, who looked shocked. Madara, on the other hand, was having a conflict within his own mind. If I go after Kabuto, then Itachi will be alone with Sasuke. Madara gritted his teeth. But if I stay here, Kabuto will get away, and who knows how long it will take me to locate him again. Eventually Madara chose to stay, which made Itachi smile. I knew you would stay, Madara. Itachi took a glance at Madara and saw his fists clenched. Now Sasuke, what will it be? Sasuke looked at the fleeing form of Kabuto and tried to jump over Itachi, who tackled Sasuke out of the air and unceremoniously threw him to the ground. I told you, if you want Kabuto, you have to K me first. Sasuke stood up and glared at his brother as Itachi gently lowered himself into a fighting stance. Now come Sasuke. Sasuke charged at Itachi, kunai drawn and Sharingan blazing. Itachi spun around while he grabbed Sasuke's arm and swung him behind him, making Sasuke lose his grip on his blade, but quickly spun around in the air and landed on the ground, but Itachi was already holding up a tiger seal. Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Itachi spat out a giant fireball that began to scorch the ground as it traveled towards Sasuke. Sasuke weaved through his hand signs as fast as he could, and before the fireball could touch him, he shot out a stream of flame that held it off. The two Uchiha kept the flame going as Madara decided to sit back and watch the fight ensue. Soon both Sasuke and Itachi stopped their jutsu and confronted one another through the fire. Why are you risking your life for that village? Itachi didn't answer, but kept looking at Sasuke, sadness reflected in his Sharingan eyes. Sasuke gritted his teeth and charged, tackling his brother and sending him backwards into a rock while Sasuke grabbed him by the throat. Why don't you answer me? Because if you have to ask a question like that, then you don't deserve an answer. Itachi simply stated as Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Sasuke went to throw a punch. Itachi grabbed it and twisted his wrist upwards, making Sasuke growl at the pain sailing into his arm. But I will say this, you will not lay a hand on Konoha Sasuke. Itachi threw Sasuke at Madara, who ducked just as Sasuke sailed over him. So are you willing to kill your own brother to stop him from destroying Konoha? Madara watched as Itachi had a conflicting look pass into his face. Then Itachi remembered what Naruto said during his brief fight with him using a subsuit. Madara frowned as Itachi's face seemed to relax, and he did something he didn't do that much. He smiled. I already know I won't live past today, but I can at least make sure Kabuto makes it to his destination. Itachi suddenly lurched forward as he began to cough up B. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go easy on you too. Itachi opened his eyes and Madara watched as his Mangekyu spun to life. Amaterasu, illuminating heaven. Black flames roared to life as they were sent towards the two Uchiha, making the both of them scatter. Itachi kept his eye trained on Madara, knowing he was the biggest threat, but wasn't naive enough to let Sasuke get away from him. Itachi suddenly ducked as Sasuke came sailing over him with a Chidori. Sasuke's eyes widened as Itachi looked up at him with anger. How did he know? Itachi then did the one thing he promised he would never do. He grabbed Sasuke by the scruff of his neck as he passed over and him heads first into the ground. Sasuke grunted in pain and looked up just in time to see Itachi staring down at him. Itachi then muttered one word that made Madara sweat. Tsukuyomi, Moon Reader. Itachi turned his attention back to Madara as Sasuke's eyes looked on with a distant feel to them. Now it is just you and me. Madara smiled under his mask as Itachi drew a kunai. How cruel to place your own brother in that genjutsu. Itachi's grip became tighter as he listened to Madara. I can see why you would want to end this fight soon, Itachi, given your condition. Itachi charged at Madara, who stood his ground as Itachi swung his blade, but phased right through Madara. Why are you brothering trying to attack me? As Madara turned around, Itachi had his face leveled with Madara's. Tsukuyo. Itachi broke his eye contact as a katana-s the air in front of his face. Itachi jumped backwards as the attacker was revealed to be a tired Sasuke. What the hell? Sasuke smiled at his brother with eagerness in his eyes. I have gotten stronger, brother, and so have my eyes. Sasuke began to channel his lightning chakra into his blade while Itachi brought his kunai, but suddenly Itachi gripped his left eye as his vision began to darken and pain began to emanate from it. Sasuke looked on as his brother began to shake his head, trying to rid himself of the pain. Damn it, Kabuto still isn't far enough away. Itachi looked in the direction where Kabuto went, but when he looked back he saw Sasuke with his fingers together in a tiger seal. Kaiten, Goruka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Dragon Fire Technique. Sasuke then spat a giant dragon-shaped fireball out of his mouth, but it wasn't aimed at Itachi. Instead, Sasuke fired it into the sky. Itachi watched as the fire vanished into the sky, followed by dark clouds forming, then rain. Itachi looked back at Sasuke to see him with his hand encased in lightning. I'll give you one last chance, Itachi, join us. Together we can crush Konoha into dust and about the new age of the Uchiha clan. You may have gotten stronger, but you are still my little brother. Sasuke narrowed his eyes as a giant dragon-like lightning bolt came out of the sky. I will never help Madara destroy our village. So my answer is no, Sasuke. Fine, then you can disappear in the thunderclap. Sasuke raised his arm upwards and swung it downwards. Kirin. The dragon vanished back into the sky only to zap down at Itachi in a blink of an eye. The ground shook with the force of the explosion, with Sasuke being yanked away by Madara to survive the blast. Sasuke looked at the crater with a mixture of sadness and anger, but that was when a giant skeleton arm appeared out of the dust and went to grab the two. Madara grabbed a hold of Sasuke and jumped away out of the reach of the giant arm. As the dust cleared, the two of them saw Itachi, but what freighted them was the giant skeletal figure behind him. Susanoo, he with the ability to help by all means. Madara growled out, much to Sasuke's confusion, as the giant began to grow muscle and armor. Then its left arm suddenly was encased by a shield of some sorts, while its right arm carried a sake jar with a sword coming out of it. Yata no Kagami, 8-span Miria, Totsuka no Tsurugi, 10 hands long sword. I didn't know you had those two weapons in your disposal, Itachi. Itachi kept looking at Madara with emotionless eyes as they began to be slightly. There is many things you don't know about me, Madara. Itachi said plainly as he walked forward with the giant following above him. I'm not holding back, Madara. Itachi's Susanoo reeled backwards with its sword and brought it down towards Madara and Sasuke, who jumped out of the blade's way. Sasuke was currently exhausted out of chakra as he tried to mold some chakra. Itachi turned to him just as Madara jumped out of the ground, grabbed Sasuke, and vanished back underground. Itachi cursed as he scanned the ground with his Sharingan as he tried to locate Madara and Sasuke. Suddenly the ground below Itachi gave way and he found himself plummeting into a deep hole, but before he got halfway down, a dragon made out of stone appeared before him and went to smack into him. Itachi had Susanoo bring its shield up to defend and was rewarded by being launched out of the hole with force. Itachi gritted his teeth as he collided with the ground from his free fall. When he looked up at the stone dragon, he noticed Madara standing on its head along with Sasuke. Now we are on equal terms, Itachi. Itachi said nothing from Madara's comment as the dragon roared and swung itself towards him. Madara and Sasuke managed to jump out of the way of Susanoo's S-blade as the dragon fell to the ground. Equal terms, Itachi said with a voice that seemed to echo. Don't be arrogant, Madara. Itachi had Susanoo bring its sword crashing towards him, but before it could reach Madara, the blade stopped. Madara smiled as he looked at Itachi as he began to cough up more B. You have reached your limit, Itachi. Susanoo began to fade, leaving Itachi exposed. You should have known better than to use Susanoo in your condition. Itachi looked up at Madara, but found that Sasuke was gone. Suddenly a blade ripped through Itachi's chest, making Itachi turn to see Sasuke wearing a smile of triumph. We win, Sasuke said as Itachi slid off the blade and fell to the ground. Suddenly Sasuke gripped his eyes as a scream tore through him. Madara knew what was happening and smiled all the more. So Itachi was more to Sasuke than a brother. Madara grinned under his mask as he approached Itachi's body. Itachi could feel his life slowly drain from his body. I guess I'll leave everything up to Naruto. Itachi thought as his life finally came to an abrupt end, but he s with a smile on his face. XXX. Naruto knew he was still asleep traveling back to Konoha as he came across the cage that held the Kyuubi, but he turned down the opposite corridor back to where he fought his dark side. The area was a beautiful sight, and in here was Naruto's most cherished memories. He looked at a tree, and when he touched it he had a flash of images of his first K with Hinata. Naruto sat underneath a tree, but that was when a crunch like twigs being snapped awoke him. He opened his eyes, he saw Itachi staring back at him. Naruto went to get up, but Itachi quickly pinned him down. I just want to talk, Itachi said, simply startling Naruto. I have fallen in battle and my worst fear has come true. Sasuke has joined with Akatsuki, or more importantly Madara Uchiha. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the name of the man who took his family away. He has filled Sasuke with hate for Konoha. Now Sasuke wants to destroy your old home. Naruto's eyes widened at the chosen words of Itachi. I have no. Itachi smiled and sat down, making Naruto stop speaking. You followed me. Yes and no. Itachi took hold of Naruto's arm and suddenly the transcription seal appeared. I placed some of myself along with the power into you. The other half of the seal is on me, that way I knew how to find you. At that Itachi looked troubled as he tried to find the words he was after. You told me that you would try and find a way to save both Konoha and Sasuke. I want to know, did you really mean that? Naruto looked away from Itachi and at the cherry blossom tree. Itachi, I give you my word that I will try everything in my power to stop Sasuke and bring him back, but I'm doing this for you and you only. This made Itachi smile even more as he stood up. I guess I'll just leave you to it then. Itachi turned around as Naruto followed him. You really are a strange one, Naruto Uzumaki. Itachi turned around and faded away, leaving Naruto alone. Naruto suddenly felt the ground shake and knew something was wrong in the real world. As Naruto vanished, he never noticed the sword and shield laying against the cherry blossom tree. XXX. Naruto's eyes opened as he found himself along with the rest of his group falling towards the ground. What happened? Naruto exclaimed as he leaned up. We were hit by something, just hang on. Sai yelled out as he took a grip on the bird as they headed towards the ground. Naruto watched as the ground came closer and closer. Naruto closed his eyes as he put some of his chakra into his gauntlet seals. The group crashed into the ground with enough force to uproot some of the earth around them. When everyone opened their eyes, they saw that they were encased in a bright blue dome. They all looked around trying to see what erected the barrier and saw Naruto standing up with strings of chakra attaching themselves to the dome. Is everyone okay? Naruto asked through a strain as he released the barrier. Everyone nodded their heads, except for Sai, who was knocked out from the impact. Kakashi walked over and examined the missing wing with his Sharingan only to back away and look at Naruto. Naruto, you said that Senji instigated the death of your clan and Uzushiogakure. Naruto nodded his head. So the question I have is, who helped him? Naruto's eyes widened as he remembered the ninja who helped Senji. Kumogakure. Everyone looked on in shock as Kakashi gritted his teeth in anger. Why, what's wrong? This wing was seized by a Raiten Jutsu. Naruto immediately began to scan the area for any sign of a Kumo nin, but couldn't see anything. We need to get moving now. Everyone could hear the urgency in Kakashi's voice as they followed him. They ran through the forest as they tried to get to Konoha before anything happens, but that was when they all heard the voice. So you are the Uzumaki. The group stopped as they all looked at the four-man team that was from Kumo. Kakashi's eyes widened as he recognized one of the group members. The Raikage. Kakashi spoke with disbelief in his words. We need to move now. He smiled a cruel smile at Kakashi, who glared back. Sorry, but I can't allow you to do that. He said with anger in his words. You see that Uzumaki K, someone from my village, someone that is of grave importance to us. I've never been to Kumogakure before. Naruto yelled out, making the Kumo group glare at him. And I know for a fact that I've never hurt or much less a Kumo nin. Don't you dare lie to me. He screamed out, making a nearby flock of birds take to the sky. He then took out the cloth that they found near Yugito's bee. If your claim is true, then why did we find this next to her bee? Naruto caught the cloth as it was thrown to him and saw the Uzushiogakure symbol. I don't know how. Naruto ducked under the forearm of the Raikage with only a centimeter to spare. Naruto looked at E with slight tone of anger in his eyes as he gave E a swift kick to his ribs, sending him into a tree, but he suddenly disappeared in a burst of lightning, surprising everyone. Calm down, Raikage, I don't want to fight you. E gritted his teeth as the group tightened themselves around Naruto. I don't know how this got there, but I assure you that I never harmed your ninja. I knew you would say that now that you see the repercussions that your actions have bestowed upon you. Naruto shook his head as he charged his body with his lightning chakra. But hiding behind your friends won't save you from me. Naruto closed his eyes as he vanished and reappeared above Naruto, bringing his fist in a downward punch. Kakashi and the rest of the Konoha force was about to yank Naruto out of the way, but were forced to move from a barrage of kunai. He swung his fist down just as Naruto opened his eyes in a flash of orange. The earth shook with the force of the hit as Hinata looked on with worry in her eyes, but this did not go unnoticed by Samui. Samui, Omoi, and Karui all stood in front of the Konoha force with their weapons drawn, but a blur all caught their attention as E was thrown into several trees until he eventually stopped by smacking into a rock. Omoi turned around to see Naruto with his right arm and his legs all the way up to his waist covered in chakra. This is just like Kiribi-sama's Jinchuriki form, but stronger. Omoi thought with dread. It can't be, you have a Biju. Naruto smirked at the Kumo-nin with some sadness. Which one do you possess? Naruto thought about it, but smiled even bigger at giving him a riddle. Let's just say I gave myself the nickname Nonamu de Fokusu. Naruto released the Kyuubi's chakra and nearly collapsed from the strain he was placing on his body. I can't keep this up much longer. Suddenly laughter caught all their attention. So you call yourself Nonamu de Fokusu? He came out of the ruined trees with a sneer. And judging from the power you just displayed, I would say you are the Jinchuriki to Kyuubi no Kitsune. Samui and Karui turned to face Naruto with weapons drawn, but Omoi began to play different scenarios out in his head on how this could go bad. I guess I can't take it easy on you. Samui then thought of an idea that made her smile as she jumped back to E. She began to whisper into his eyes as E's eyes seemed to sparkle with malice at the idea as he looked at Naruto. Kakashi suddenly made his move and with a Raikiri at the ready charged Omoi as he looked up just in time to bring his sword up. Kakashi never made it in time as he was unmercifully blasted in the side by a Raiten charged punch by E. Kakashi! Naruto screamed out. Naruto looked to see who the owner of the blade was and saw Karui holding it with a grin on her face. This is bad. Shikamaru thought as he tried to come up with a plan. None of us is in any condition fight the Raikage, especially after he just blast Kakashi into next week. Shikamaru turned to see Kakashi still moving, but in bad shape with a giant fist-shaped hole in his side. Shikamaru then looked at the rest of the group to see Choji getting his hands at the ready while Ino was next to Kakashi trying to get the bee to stop. Hinata on the other hand looked ready to go as she nodded her head at Shikamaru. Shikamaru looked at Choji just as Naruto was forced against a tree from the force of Karu's sword swing. Naruto was about to move when Omoi appeared behind him. Kumo Ru Mikazuki Kiri, cloud-style crescent moon beheading. Naruto ducked just in time to avoid being S-in-2 as he brought out his staff. Naruto turned and blocked the sword with his staff, but that was when both Samui and Karui brought their weapons down on Naruto. Naruto turned to see the points of the blades, but before they could reach him Hinata jumped in between with her Byakugan blazing with chakra laced into her hands. She brought her hands up and the sword stopped S in their tracks. Samui sneered at Hinata who smiled back as a shadow was cast over her. Samui and Karui looked up to see Choji with his arms and hands bigger than tree trunks as he swung both fists down to crush the two, but the two dodged just before Choji could connect with them. Naruto shoved Omoi back with what little strength he had left and watched as he went and joined with the Raikage and the other members of his team. Naruto s his staff into the ground to try and keep himself from falling as he smiled at Naruto's weakened state. It would seem that you are still able to stand. He then vanished and reappeared right in front of Naruto. But only just barely. He then kicked Naruto hard in his stomach as he punched Choji at almost exactly the same time. Hinata went to hit E with some chakra, but quickly found herself thrown to a tree knocking her out. Naruto managed to raise his head up just in time to see this and as he turned to Naruto he saw him standing back up. Oh, still have some fight left in you. Naruto opened his eyes to reveal orange eyes, but along with them he had silted eyes. Naruto let out a scream that shook the ground as Kyuubi's chakra surged upwards and covered his body. I'm going to hurt you. Naruto growled out as he vanished only to reappear in front of E. E looked down at Naruto with surprise at the blonde's speed as Naruto delivered a devastating punch to the Raikage's stomach. E was sent skidding across the ground, but managed to keep his ribs from breaking thanks to his Raiten armor, but when he looked at Naruto he was gone in a flash. E managed to duck the punch to his head and block the knee aimed at his stomach. You sure can move, kid. E said as he shoved Naruto away, but Naruto didn't go hardly anywhere as he dug his feet in and stopped himself cold. E narrowed his eyes as the Kyuubi's chakra began to peel away as Naruto began to breathe harder. It would seem that you are nearing your limit, boy. Naruto growled as he vanished once again, but E was ready this time as Naruto reappeared and tried to punch him in the back. E released his Raiten armor which gave off a slight concussion wave of lightning that sent Naruto backwards. E turned and was once again coated in his armor as he vanished in a burst of lightning. Naruto turned his body sideways to dodge the punch he tried to deliver only to have to block a punch from Naruto. Naruto and E landed on the ground and glared at one another, but that was when Kyuubi's chakra disappeared leaving Naruto completely weakened. E smiled as he swung Naruto into a tree breaking it in two and making Naruto cough up B. E began to walk forward only to be stopped by Shikamaru's shadow. E looked at Shikamaru with some struggle surprising Shikamaru as E pushed his jutsu back. Raikage-sama, we have what we need. Came Samui's voice making Naruto raise his head to see Hinata on Omoi's back. E smiled at her and turned to Naruto. An eye for an eye, Uzumaki. E said with spite in his words. But don't worry, we will take care of her. Naruto struggled to stand up only to get a Raiten-charged kick to his ribs breaking two of them. Naruto watched through watery eyes as the Kumo nins vanished taking Hinata with them. Naruto then made one last hand sign as he closed his eyes and never opened them. XXX. Samui looked at the tied-up Hinata to see a seal work its way up her body before expanding in a dome of chakra. Samui dropped the ball and watched as he punched it with a Raiten-charged punch. The Uzumaki must have placed a seal on her to activate when he knew she was in trouble. E smiled a little despite everything. No matter, we will hide her away until the chakra runs out, then we will have our revenge. E picked the ball up with ease and vanished with his group once more. Hinata on the other hand managed to wake up for a fraction of a second to activate the seal Naruto placed on her. Please hurry, Naruto. Hinata closed her eyes once more and sickbed to the awaiting darkness, but unbeknownst to the Kumo group or Hinata, a large supply of food and water appeared inside the dome with a tiny note. I will save you. Signed Naruto. Naruto was sitting in the council room of Konoha after recovering from his massive injuries from fighting against E. After returning back from the mission, the village was in an uproar about the Kumogakure abducting Hinata. Tsunade managed to contain the village so they didn't do anything rash as Naruto healed. After waking up, Naruto immediately stood up and walked out the hospital, successfully avoiding detection from the hospital staff. After discovering Naruto missing, everyone began to search for the blonde Gufukage. They finally found Naruto in the messenger hawk area laying against the wall writing a note. Before they could do anything, Naruto strapped the message to the bird he requested and sent it off. When asked what was in the message, Naruto just smiled before he passed out from the pain. This can't go unpunished, there must be retribution against them. Hiyashi screamed out, not in the least pleased to hear his daughter's K. We understand, Hiyashi, but we can't rush in recklessly. Tsunade stated, trying to calm the Hyuga clan leader down. Then what will you have us do? Hiyashi said with barely contained rage. My daughter is in their hands right now. Who knows what they are doing to her? I wouldn't worry about that. Naruto stated as he leaned forward with an almost S look in his eyes. I placed a seal on Hinata and told her how to activate it. What this seal does is it creates a bubble of chakra that keeps sucking more chakra in, making it stronger and bigger. I personally made that seal to protect Hinata if something like this happened. There is no way Kumogakure can break that seal without triggering the fail-safes on it. If you had enough time to place a seal like that on her, then why not place a transference seal? Hiyashi growled out. Because that would have taken more time. Naruto stated, looking at Hiyashi. Something I didn't have in Azushio. What about food, Uzumaki? Danzo asked as he leaned forward to inspect Naruto closely. You don't really believe that she can live forever in that chakra dome, do you? Naruto smiled at that as he stood up and walked towards the door. No, I don't. Naruto grabbed the door handle as he opened the door. But I had a feeling that Akatsuki would K Hinata to force me to surrender. So I prepared enough food and water to last 2 months. Naruto was about to go through the door when he said one last thing that shocked everyone. Hiyashi, I promise you that I will get Hinata back, but I don't want any help from Konoha. With that, Naruto closed the door, leaving everyone in a state of shock. XXX. Naruto was barely outside when he got confronted by Tsunade. What the hell was that about? Tsunade looked at Naruto as he smiled. They know where your village is. Tsunade's eyes narrowed at Naruto's words. They know your village's strengths and weaknesses, but they know nothing about mine. I have tricks and plans already set in motion when I sent that hawk to my village. So that was what was in the scroll. Naruto smiled even bigger. I have to leave immediately to get my village prepared. Naruto turned and came face to face with Sai. I wish to come with you. Naruto looked at Sai, who looked like he just got out of war. Sai, you can't stop me. Sai yelled out, clutching his head from the headache he gave himself. Danzo-sama placed me as Hinata's bodyguard, as such I must do whatever I can to bring her back. Naruto thought about it for a few minutes before nodding his head and motioning towards the gate. Naruto began to walk towards the gate when he came across Jiraiya. So you really going to do this alone? Naruto just looked at the ground as he continued past his teacher. Omegakure is where the Akatsuki is, Naruto said as he passed, but only got a smile out of Jiraiya. I already know. Naruto looked at Jiraiya with a questioning look. My spy network finally tracked him down, but Naruto, are you sure about this? They think I did something I never did, Naruto stated with self-contained rage. Then they go and take Hinata. The better question is, what kind of state will I leave Kumogakure in once I'm done? I understand why you're angry, Jiraiya said with a sage-like voice. But don't go in there without a plan, and even if they don't deserve it, give them a chance to give her back. Naruto looked at Jiraiya for a second before nodding his head. Jiraiya watched as both Sai and Naruto began to walk to the gate as Tsunade walked up to Jiraiya. You're going to have someone follow him, aren't you? Jiraiya stated in more of a statement than a question. Tsunade nodded her head as she turned back to the Hokage Tower to get a team ready to track Naruto and to help if needed. XXX. Naruto walked to the forest when he cursed as he looked up into the sky. We won't make it to Uzushiogakure in time. Naruto then his hands together as seals began to appear all over his body and around the ground in a 3-foot circle around him. I hate using this, it leaves me to drained, but I have no choice. Naruto looked at Sai, who looked at him confused. After I learned who my father was, I tried to use his Hiraishin no Jutsu, but I couldn't because it is a jutsu that requires precise chakra control. I have yet to gain that much control, but I'm getting better. Until then I created my own variation of it, but I can only use it once. So I placed the receiving seal in Uzushio, that way if need be I can get there in a second. Now grab hold, this is going to get rocky. Sai grabbed Naruto's shoulder as Naruto began to glow until an orb of chakra surrounded both of them. Arashibaka, Storm Breaker. Then in a shockwave of energy Naruto and Sai vanished, leaving behind a single crater. XXX. In a cave a few miles away from Omegakure, Madara was beyond furious. Not only did he lose 3 members of Akatsuki, evidence pointed out Senji had a hand in Hiden's death. I told you we shouldn't have trusted him. Pain pointed out, but one quick glare made Pain realize that now wasn't the time to try Madara's patience. Madara finally had enough. He stood up and with a single hand sign Sasuke appeared in front of him. It's time we get this over with, Madara stated to Sasuke, who smiled as he walked out the door with Sasuke, Pain, and Konan close behind. Deidara, Kisame, and Zetsu, the last surviving members of the Akatsuki, looked up to see the 4 enter the room. Hey, isn't that Itachi's little brother? Kisame asked as he looked the Uchiha up and down. Yes, Kisame, he will be filling in for Itachi since he is no longer with us, Pain stated as he looked at Deidara, who growled at Sasuke with hate in his eye. But now on to business. The Akatsuki turned to see a very frail-looking man staring at him from an open window. Hello, my name is Zetsumatsu, emissary of Senji. With that, Zetsumatsu dropped from the window and landed in between the Akatsuki as they all leveled their weapons on the newcomer. How did you get in? Pain growled out at the man, who smiled back with almost an animalistic smile. Why, Senji told me how to get in undetected. Zetsumatsu looked at Kisame, who looked at him with a urge to fight. But with Senji gone, I'm to finish the last mission he gave me. With a slight groan, the man dropped his cloak and revealed his entire body wrapped up in bandages, but before he could begin to unwrap, Pain quickly. I won't let you finish his request. Pain growled, but was startled when the man smiled. But it has already begun. Pain looked down at the man's bee and saw that it was pitch black. You see, my real name isn't Zetsumatsu, no, that is my nickname. My real name is Guka, Hellfire, Oniseki, Demon Gate. Madara's eye widened as he reacted by grabbing Pain and throwing him away from Guka. Madara stood on the far reaches, clutching his eye as the vortex slowly vanished. Pain, Konan, and Sasuke stood next to him watching the fire. Zetsu suddenly came out of the ground carrying Kisame, who looked slightly burnt, but nothing he couldn't handle. Deidara, on the other hand, looked the worst of everything. Pain looked on as the fire and eased back, leaving behind a deep crater. How did you know? Pain whispered to Madara, who looked at him. Oniseki was a clan back before any of the hidden villages were created. Madara whispered back. But after the villages were formed, they began to out. I never suspected that Senji managed to save one. Madara gritted his teeth in anger as he looked at the unconscious body. I am growing tired of this. At this rate, I'm going to have to accelerate my plans. XXX. Uzushiogakure was in a peaceful state, that is, until a sudden explosion caught their attention. They all looked towards the source to find Naruto leaning against Sai for support. Gufukage-sama. The villagers gathered around Naruto as Sai helped him through the crowd. That was when Haku reached out of the crowd, but Naruto waved him off. Naruto then proceeded to get off of Sai and began to move towards the tower with one thought on his mind: Hinata. What's going on? Haku asked, looking at Sai. Kumogakure ke Hinata, Sai stated as he began to walk towards the tower as well, leaving Haku shocked behind. XXX. We don't have enough forces to attack Kumo. Kakuheki still looked tired, but at this point Naruto had his complete attention. We wouldn't last even an hour against Kumo. Ishiki, Denpa, and Enmatsuki were looking at Naruto, who looked to be struggling to accept what was just said. If we go in there without any sort of help, Uzushiogakure could be destroyed again. So what do we do then? Naruto looked at everyone's faces and stopped on Ishiki. We could call upon Suna and Konoha for help. Naruto gritted his teeth as he tried to think of a plan. I don't want this to turn into another great shinobi war. Naruto finally said through clenched teeth. I understand, but we may not have a choice in this matter. Denpa announced, twirling his dagger around. Perhaps I can be of assistance. Came an eerie snake-like voice that made the four turn around and draw their weapons. So we meet again, Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the cloaked figure until he saw his face. Kabuto. Naruto tightened his grip around his staff. What are you doing here, or a better question would be how are you here? Kabuto smirked as he threw Naruto the piece of paper Itachi gave him. Itachi gave that to me so I can find someone to help my condition. Kabuto smiled and Naruto was vaguely reminded of Orochimaru. What did you do to yourself? Naruto lowered his weapon slightly as Kabuto stumbled a bit. Well, after Orochimaru's I knew Akatsuki would come after me. Kabuto finally began to fall, but a white snake came out of his robes and stopped his fall. So I managed to find what little skin was left of Orochimaru and grafted it onto my body to get Orochimaru's power, but as you can see I'm fighting a losing battle. Kabuto took a good long look at the white snake before slowly taking off his cloak. Enmatsuki looked away as the three males flinched at what they saw. Kabuto's entire body was slowly turning into a snake. The only things that remained that was human was his head, arms, and legs, but other than that he looked like he could constrict you without much trouble. I never thought I'd say this, but I need your help. Naruto looked at Kabuto with some pity in his blue eyes. I don't know. Kabuto looked a little shocked at that. But I will try. Everyone looked at Naruto with surprise in their eyes. The reason why is I believe everyone deserves a second chance at life. A new start on life so they can grow and learn from the mistakes they made in the last. Naruto walked over to Kabuto, who stood his ground as Naruto took out some ink. I won't be able to suppress his cells completely, but this should stop and reverse some of the transformation. Naruto began to draw on Kabuto, who kept perfectly still as Naruto continued through the process with Kakuheiki, Ishiki, Denpa, and Enmatsuki looking on. When Naruto finally finished, he walked back and observed his seals with a careful eye. Are you finished? Kabuto asked through gritted teeth as another white snake emerged out of his back. Yeah, but I must warn you. Naruto placed his fingers together in the bird seal. This is going to hurt like hell. Before Kabuto could respond, the seals began to glow and Kabuto collapsed on the ground screaming at the top of his lungs. Naruto winced at the volume, but kept his concentration as a black orb appeared around Kabuto, concealing him from view. Naruto began to sweat a little as the seal continued to drain on his chakra, but Naruto didn't stop. Suddenly Kabuto's screaming stopped and the orb began to break apart. Kabuto slowly stood up as the orb broke apart completely. Kabuto kept his eyes closed, but had wrapped the cloak around his waist. How do you feel? Naruto asked in between breaths. Kabuto opened his eyes and revealed still silted pupils. His body was back to normal, except for his right arm, which still retained the snake scales, and his hair was a lot longer, going all the way down to his shoulder blades. I feel great. Kabuto smiled at Naruto, making his face look predatory. Now what should I do? Kabuto was flexing his right hand as he looked on with a thoughtful expression. I know. Before Naruto could react, Kabuto grabbed him by his shirt and vanished in a burst of speed. Ishiki, Denpa, Kakuheiki, and Enmatsuki followed after, catching up to Kabuto as he headed to the nearby forest on the island, but just as he got into the tree line he dropped Naruto. Naruto twisted his body around and landed on the ground, looking at Kabuto with narrowed eyes as he landed in front of him. What are you after? Naruto said as Ishiki and the others managed to catch up. Well, I told you I can be of assistance to you. Kabuto smirked at Naruto. I'm about to show you why. Kabuto suddenly clapped his hands and 4 coffins erupted out of the ground. The lids fell over and revealed their contents to the rest of the group. Kabuto smiled even bigger, seeing the shocked looks on everyone's faces. That's right, I have mastered Kuchio's Edo Tensei summoning, impure world resurrection. The 4 people inside the coffins were Sasori, Itachi, Orochimaru, and Hanzo. The jutsu only 2 other people knew how to perform. The Nadame Hokage, Orochimaru, and now me, and I have surpassed them all. I heard what you said about not having enough manpower. Well, with me by your side you will have all the manpower you want. Naruto continued to look at the bee until he turned his glare onto Kabuto. You are defiling their memories with this. This brought a laugh out of Kabuto which confused Naruto. You misinterpreted what Edo Tensei is. Kabuto tapped the coffins and the lid's S back into place. Yes, the jutsu allows you to bring the S back to life, but unlike Orochimaru who would remove all the personality from the individual to make him into a K machine, I don't want that. Kabuto reached behind him and pulled out 2 tags. The newest looking one is my creation. It will allow the person I resurrect to have his personality and some control over his actions, but the older looking one is Orochimaru's. That still doesn't matter, this jutsu takes the life of someone else to use. Naruto once again saw Kabuto chuckle. Yes, for one who hasn't mastered Edo Tensei. Kabuto held up his tag so Naruto could see. Naruto took a closer look and found strange seals along the edges of the tag. I don't use random humans as the SI use people who had their minds snapped by Orochimaru during his many experiments on them. They feel no pain, they can't eat except by IV, and they can't even make a single thought. The only purpose they served for Orochimaru was for Edo Tensei. I also made a deal with Manda. I promised to make him even stronger than he is now if he will listen to me. Manda agreed and the deal was struck. I can't believe this. Naruto was still shocked even as the coffins sunk into the ground. How can you just sit there and smile at the defiling the memories of the S and K others just to benefit you? Kabuto didn't break his smile, but walked a little closer to Naruto. Because if you take my offer of help I will only summon those who deserve to have their memories defiled. Kabuto's silted eye seemed to contract in the light. Or maybe I can summon someone who never got to say goodbye to a family member and let their soul be at peace. What do you get out of this? Naruto growled out as Kabuto looked thoughtful. Well, I'm trying to find my true self, Kabuto said with his smile turning mischievous. So maybe helping you will help me discover myself. That, and I also have a certain person I want to have a rematch with. Naruto didn't need Kabuto to say the person's name. Alright, I accept your help. Naruto grabbed, but tightened his grip. But you are not to use Edo Tensei without my permission. Naruto glared at Kabuto. Do you understand me? I understand. Kabuto watched as Naruto released his grip and turned back to the others. We need to prepare, Naruto stated as he walked with Kabuto right behind him humming a creepy little tune. I don't want to leave the village undefended. Naruto looked at Enmatsuki who nodded her head. Kabuto, you are coming with me along with Kakuheiki, Ishiki, Denpa, Sai, and if he has time Haku. Everyone nodded their heads as they continued towards the tower once more. I'm coming, Hinata. Kabuto looked at Naruto with a small smile. I'll play the hero for now. Kabuto's thoughts began to plan for the next couple of days. And then I will deal with Naruto and Sasuke in one swift and brutal move. XXX. He was impatient as no one could seem to break the barrier that separated him from the Hyuga girl. Now it seems it is growing bigger, doesn't? His assistant nodded her head. My guess would be that this thing sucks in chakra from the surrounding area to increase in size and strength. He gave the barrier one last punch, but it didn't budge. Reikage-sama, may I suggest something? His assistant asked with a raised finger. He grunted, showing he was listening. Well, if this seal is absorbing chakra from the various surroundings, then why don't we move it where there is less chakra? He looked at his assistant and smiled. How about we move her to the Shimagame Island Turtle? He thought about it for a few seconds before deciding. Very well, she will be moved immediately. The assistant nodded her head as a pair of ninja came in and with help lifted the box that contained Hinata. Make sure you get there today at the latest, understand? The ninja nodded and ran out the open window. I finally have vengeance for Yugito, he announced with a pride note in his voice. And soon I will even have the Byakugan. Today is a good day. He laughed a little as his assistant nodded her head. XXX. Deidara was in a foul mood. Not only was half of his body burnt, but the Uchiha kid didn't S from the blast either. Zetsu appeared out of the ground in front of them with a grin. I have something that might interest you all. This got everyone's attention as they looked at the plant man. Apparently Kumogakur thought Naruto K Yugito, and as a result they K the Hyuga heir. Now Naruto going to attack Kumo to get her back. Pain looked down with no emotion in his gray eyes, but they had a gleam in them that could have been mistaken for happiness. Excellent, Pain stated as he turned around. We can attack when they're at their weakest and snatch up the Kyuubi and Hachibi before they know what happened. Everyone nodded their heads and watched as Pain walked out. Madara grinned in the corner as his plan soon would be complete. I'm so close. Madara looked at Pain. Pretty soon I won't need you, Nagato. With this, Madara chuckled a little as his Sharingan began to spin into his Mangekyo as a strange wind blew through the trees carrying Madara's laughter for all to hear. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.